Hey, it's Bill Simmons. I asked the Ringer staff to pick their favorite 2018 moments in sports and pop culture and everything else. I thought it would go well. It didn't. They screwed it up. Here it is.
My 2018 best moment is J.R. Smith dribbling out the clock at the end of regulation of Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Just an iconic moment in sports that will live long after we have died. J.R. grabs the rebound with a chance to put the Cavs ahead if he passes to an open LeBron or does anything except what he did, which is dribble out the clock because he thought the Cavaliers were up in the game, when in fact the score was tied. It was iconic. Aside from it being on the biggest stage in the sport, it really revealed the essence of J.R. Smith as a basketball player, which is kind of like a clown.
It just shows that in today's NBA with the Warriors, people aren't allowed to have funny mistakes. Like a funny mistake like that costs you the finals. The margin for error against the Warriors is 0. And for as hilarious as it was and kind of tragic comic as it was, I knew that the second that happened that the Cavs weren't going to win a single, like the Cavs were dead.
LeBron really looked like, like he could have, just like the total shock that you have to explain to someone in the finals what the score of the game is. We're in the finals, dog. Tie game. What?
My favorite moment of 2018 is when Drake was hiding Drake was hiding a child. He was hiding a child. That's how I would describe it. Drake was hiding a child.
You are hiding a child. That shit was great.
You were hiding a child. That was one of those damn, rap music is awesome moments.
You were hiding a child.
What a moment in time. You are hiding a child. I remember being like, hold on. He's hiding a child?
It's the first time that it really felt like Drake either could lose or did lose, ever, in his whole career, which was exhilarating.
You are hiding a child.
My best moment of 2018 was when Tessa Virtue and Scott Moore performed at the Pyeongchang Olympics. Maybe the horniest Olympics performance I've ever seen, and I really enjoyed it. I would say this moment was like Canadians ice.
Well, not safe for work, I'll say that, first of all.
There's a lot of uncertainty in this world, questions that we may never have answers to, but there's one thing that I'm certain of, and it's that these two ice skaters have definitely boned.
I mean, they're
Yeah, man, they boned. That's all I have to say.
It's hard. I don't really know if I have a Virtue and Moore take because I'm more team Shibatanis.
Congrats on their gold, and I hope that they are somewhere kissing.
They're either or they really want to be a lot, but they're also
My favorite moment of 2018 was watching Bryce Harper win the home run derby in Nationals Park. It might have been the last, maybe the greatest overall moment he's had as a National, especially because the team didn't make the playoffs and he might not be coming back.
It was amazing that Bryce won the Derby just because it was one thing in Washington baseball that actually provided a little bit of happiness.
My favorite moment of 2018 was definitely when the Washington Capitals finally won the Stanley Cup. Being a Caps fan over the years has been a source of constant heartbreak, disappointment, devastation, sadness, and all of that was erased the night that Alexander Ovechkin lifted Lord Stanley Cup over his head.
good for him. I'm proud that Donnie has that.
I don't have a whole lot to say about the Stanley Cup, but I'm happy for Donnie. Eat the cleat.
I think sports joy is a great kind of human feeling that I want everyone to experience at least once.
I'm just really happy for Donnie.
My best moment of 2018 was seeing the John Travolta movie Gotti in theaters for the first time, because it was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. It felt like witnessing a cult movie being born.
I mean, it's kind of funny that Gotti exists, but it's not the best moment. The best moment has to be something that's not terrible, and definitely not something that's directed by Kevin Connolly of Entourage fame.
It's literally true. Kevin Connolly, with a score by Pitbull, with John Travolta giving his worst performance ever.
John Travolta made a Gotti movie this year?
My favorite moment of 2018 was the emergence of Gritty as the internet's favorite sports mascot ever. Gritty is a gigantic orange monster who loves hockey and is bad at most of the things he tries to do.
Gritty is, I think, the perfect avatar for 2018. He is chaos. He is the destroyer of worlds.
Gritty is haunting. He's really strange. I guess I support that he exists, but he's still so disturbing, and whoever got that tattoo of him, like, I'm really worried for them.
Oh boy, I love Gritty. I'm pro his eyes. I am pro his socialist status.
Unfortunately, my mom reads all my tweets and then talks to me about them. And she, when I was home over Thanksgiving, she was like, I think you have a crush on Gritty. And I felt so understood.
Gritty's overrated now. I think it's very smart of a team to go, hey, let's just create a f***ing hideous, weird mascot that has a chance to be memeable and more famous than our actual team. In that sense, it's brilliant. But also, he's overrated now. It's like, you know, like, do something else, Gritty. Do something.
I actually don't. I don't have any thoughts on Gritty. Can I tell you something? I think that, frankly, Gritty is Philly culture for people who aren't from Philly. Like, Gritty is like, oh, isn't this hilarious? This, like, weird, nebulous animal. But, like, we have a lot going on in Philadelphia. They freed Meek Mill.
My best moment of 2018 was the major motion picture film, A Star is Born. It's very rare that you get something that so many people enjoyed that isn't a Marvel movie and that has major movie stars and there's romance and there's songs. It feels like an old Hollywood movie in the best way, just kind of melodramatic and fun. And pretty much everyone I know who went to see it lost their mind over it. You don't get movies that everyone cares about that often. And I think A Star is Born, even before it was in theaters, was something that everyone was just really excited for.
I love A Star is Born. There are so many amazing moments of A Star is Born, and I mean that really sincerely. I think my favorite moment is when she's pulled on stage and she does the whale. Yeah, I'm not about to, you cannot trick me into doing the ha on camera.
The best moment of A Star is Born is, actually, can we, hold on one second.
Do I like the song Shallows? Do I have two eyes in my head? Yeah, I like the song Shallows.
A Star is Born is, it's fine, you know? Like, it was great. It's a movie-ass movie.
I think the first 2/3 of it are very good, and then it's kind of like, all right, just die already, Jackson. Like, just get it over with, because it's like, why are we just doing this? I will say that I laughed hysterically when Jackson urinated on himself at the Grammys. That was funny.
There's no way that guy could have gotten from Indio to downtown LA in that amount of time if the traffic was bad. But, you know, at the end of the day, it kind of reduces you to a puddle of tears, right? It's just the power of performance and the power of mass entertainment.
My favorite moment of 2018 was the Sony Pictures film Venom, which made more money worldwide than Wonder Woman. I would say it's so bad it's good. It's the kind of movie that obviously, like, you're not gonna expect like real art, but if you wanna play a drinking game with your friends and just sort of kind of like half watch it until Tom Hardy's possessed by an alien goo and sort of loses his mind. And again, jumps into a lobster tank, eats a live lobster, and this was something that, according to the Daily Mail, he had to argue with the director on set because they didn't want him to jump into a lobster tank, but he thought it was important for the character. So that's the kind of movie we're dealing with Venom.
I don't acknowledge Venom. Please put that in.
Oh man, Venom was one of the best comedy films of the year.
I've basically been like a one-man PR campaign for Venom since it came out. I'm still trying to get my parents to watch it, but I think they've blocked my phone.
My best moment of 2018 in television, in film, in music, in basically any pop cultural medium was the first season of Killing Eve, which, in my humble opinion, was one of the best first seasons of TV I've ever seen. It's a really fun and super confident genre piece, which I think a lot of TV like forgets to be fun these days, while also being incredibly smart and complicated and nuanced.
I loved the dinner scene in Killing Eve. I thought that their chemistry was really great in that scene, and Sandra Oh is just kind of fearless, even though she's having dinner with this insane serial killer who she's sort of in love with. Really kind of a romantic friend date.
One of the cool things about Killing Eve this year is, even though we've obviously had Sandra Oh in our lives for a really long time with Grey's Anatomy, is that feeling as you're watching in real time, like new stars are like being born right in front of you. Not to steal from Bradley Cooper, but Jodie Comer was not somebody that anyone had ever heard of before. And you're just watching this show, you're watching that dinner scene, and you're like, oh, this is like, I'm watching Silence of the Lambs again or something. Like I'm meeting these people and finding out about these people who are gonna be in my life probably for like the next 20 years.
My 2018 best moment is the Black Panther moment. You've already forgotten that it came out this year, basically. This movie threatened to basically kill me before it even came out, just because everybody was so enthralled with it, where it's just like, this is for us, by us, all this other stuff. And then it managed to live up to that level of expectation, which is like a feat unto itself.
My best moment of 2018 is Atlanta robbing season, specifically the Teddy Perkins episode. The best television moments are when you feel like you can hear people in other houses watching the same show as you, because you're so connected and watching you're sharing this cultural experience together, and Twitter was exploding. But I got the feeling like everybody had goosebumps at the same time during Teddy Perkins.
I love the Teddy Perkins episode of Atlanta.
I watched Teddy Perkins live and was simultaneously slacking with Allison Herman and Micah Peters throughout the 40 minutes, and it was some of the scariest 40 minutes of my year. I had no idea what was happening. It was so screwed up.
Was that Stevie I heard in the car? Yeah, seriously, the Teddy Perkins episode was one of the most jarring television experiences, just because there's no music in it. Like, you just have to live in every awkward moment. Like Donald Glover in the Teddy Perkins get up, like cracking open the ostrich egg and like eating it was one of the most disgusting things I've seen, and it was great. I loved it.
Just extremely memorable. Also, it gets said a lot, but you don't really see weirdness on network television in prime time that much, and that's just like a show that is wonderfully like strange and evocative of the times we live in.
It's one of those things where as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, of course this show is about race and fame, and what it does to you as a person is going to do an episode that's about, you know, effectively Michael Jackson, although there are a lot of other real life figures. But in the moment, it's so surprising, and it feels surprising and inevitable at the same time, which to me is really like what a great work of art is all about.
Atlanta, definitely my cultural moment of the year. I'm trying to think of what else happened this year. A couple good books. Oh yeah, the Eagles won the Super Bowl!
I'm an Eagles wife, which is not a fate that I would wish on anyone. But yeah, it was good that they won. I'm glad they won. Eagles won the Super Bowl, Philly special. Okay, I don't have to get divorced now.
It was a fun game. You got to see a random backup quarterback who looked like he had no NFL future beat, you know, the most successful and monstrous dynasty in the sport. It was dramatic and it ended up the right way. And I didn't have to listen to Kevin O'Connor talk about how Tom Brady could cure cancer and everyone would hate him for it.
I don't want to get Philly people too riled up, but you guys know what your city is like. I mean, it's Philly. But I'm not so mad at them being over happy about winning Super Bowl because, as I said, as a Caps fan, I can relate. If the Flyers win the Stanley Cup, though, that might be a bridge too far. That can't happen.
Wonderful for the city of Philadelphia to finally have achieved something other than a movie being filmed in the 70s and 80s.
The Eagles winning the Super Bowl made some of my coworkers very happy, and therefore my day-to-day life a lot easier, so I'm very happy that happened.
It was a beautiful night. I was like drunk crying, like calling my dad in the lobby of a bar, as everyone from the Philadelphia area was. The worst thing to happen was like the guy falling through the awning of the Ritz-Carlton. That's, you know, it's a pretty good night if that's the biggest destruction that's wreaked on the city when you're talking about Philly.
And while I appreciate the benefits that I've gained from Boston being good at sports, I can't think of anything sweeter than not only the Eagles winning a Super Bowl, but beating the Patriots. Because for one night only, I had that over Bill. We had the Patriots falling. Man, it felt as good as you think it feels to win a Super Bowl.
Here's my response to Chris. Back in the 80s, Britain had a military conflict with the Falkland Islands, and they won because nobody knew what the Falkland Islands were. And Britain had that. It was like the one war they've ever won. Congratulations, Chris. This was your Falkland Islands moment.